Super Rugby round number 2. My Blues are still winless after 2 rounds. The Chiefs are looking the team to beat. Who had the force as one of the undefeated sides after 2 rounds with their ending a long losing streak in Canberra? Go through the results of the round, wrap them up pretty quick, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. Overall, once again, similar to round 1. I thought pretty entertaining, not quite as close. We've got a few more, slightly blown out scorelines, but largely still pretty close. So I'm pretty chuffed with the way Super Rugby started. I think the games have been good, the crowds have been pretty good, and the rugby on display, for mine, undisputably pretty bloody entertaining. The Chiefs got us underway on Friday at home against the Crusaders, and once again, they proved themselves to be a really difficult prospect in the second half. They did it to my Blues in round 1 up here at Eden Park. Big second half push saw them take the game away from the Blues. It was a similar story here against the Crusaders at home. It was 17-14 at half time. Chiefs got tries through Narawa and Xavier Rowe in the first half, and then put on a bunch of tries in the second. Jacob, Carter, Finau, and a couple to Tupaia at the death. It was Preston, Blackadder, and Shalfoon for the Crusaders getting their tries. So, yeah, goodness me. I mean, that guy Preston's had a pretty good start to his Super Rugby career, back at another try, but it was really, really all about the Chiefs. Narawa, quick heads-up play, D-Mac pulling the strings. I mean, that guy Carter's also had a pretty impressive start to his Super Rugby career, so very, very, very good look inside. Tupaia off the bench, so I had to come on earlier than expected. Busted a bunch of tackles. Blackadder tackled well for the Crusaders, but yeah, pretty tough day at the office for them. Not many mauls. See, sides seem to be keen. I mean, there was only 2 mauls in the entire game. Keen to play with the ball in hand to spin it. I mean, 10 clean breaks to 7. There's a ton of guys getting themselves into some space, and that's the Chiefs with the 10, the Crusaders with 7. Both sides' tackling percentages are in the 80s, 88, 84. But a whole bunch of points, and the Crusaders can't be too hard on yourselves after losing to the Chiefs, because the Chiefs, I mean, after 2 rounds, it's really early to say, but the Chiefs are looking like the side to beat. 100%. 100%. The REDvMOA Pacific played out a pretty crazy match after this one. It was also on the Friday. Remember, it was the Reds' first game of their Super Rugby season, having sat on the bye for week 1. They went out to a big lead, 21-0, and you're kind of thinking at that point, right, so we didn't know where the Reds were at, and we didn't really know where Moana Pacifica was at, because they played a close one with the Force last week. So you're thinking, maybe the Force and Moana Pacifica are kind of really far below everyone, and the Reds are hitting the ground at least in the middle, because they went 21-0. Tries to Uru, Dagunu, and Ryan. Some really slick hands, but wasn't really all that one-sided for a time, man. I mean, the Moana Pacifica guys got it back to 21-8 by half-time, and then 28-22 early on in the second half. But then the Reds, kind of in the end of the game, barring the last try, which Moana Pacifica got, the Reds piled on a bunch of points. Ryan Smith got 1, Fraser McCright got 1, McLaughlin Phillips got 1, Angus Blythe got 1. Yeah, a bunch of their forwards. I mean, McCright's always there with those support lines of his. He's a really good player. Good to see him back in action. Adi Savia got his first try from Moana, which was pleasing. Ala Malo, who I had in my fantasy team for week 1. I shifted him out for week 2. He got a try for Moana. That's the way things go. But, I mean, the story of Moana Pacifica's backline is that man Tamoifu Lau. Goodness me. He's got some wicked gas and some good steps on him as well. So, yeah, 56-36. Is a pretty big result in the end. So good start to the Reds campaign. They tackled in the 90s in terms of their percentage, whereas Moana were back down in the 80s. 83 is a bit below what you would like, to be fair, but it's not the... any side that gets into the 70s is where you're getting really bad. And we do have one side in the 70s this week. Saturday games, HURvDRU from Napier. Good crowd turned out there in Napier. It certainly looks a bit better on camera than the cake tin, that's for sure. But 38-34, given a bit of a scare by the Drua. The Drua, who don't travel well, definitely had a chance to win this one. The Drua started the game with a bit of a flying start of their own. I mean, it was Karifi who scored first, but then the Drua hit back with a few tries, took a lead. Hurricanes came back into the game, as you kind of would expect. But when the Drua scored on like 73 minutes through Tanakai Vata, you thought maybe they've just done enough. And then like literally, I think 2 minutes later, the Hurricanes guys went back in front through Godfrey. So the Drua were up, 22-12. Final try goes to the Hurricanes. So they did well to get that win. I mean, the Drua blew some tries. There was the famous one. What was it? Was it the flanker with the kind of not passing when he was in touch? I mean, they scored not long later anyway. But yeah, turnovers conceded count is too high for the Drua. They conceded 18. The Hurricanes conceded 13. Like, it's a really pretty high-scoring game, but there were a few skill breakdowns on both sides, and I don't think the Hurricanes will be too happy with their discipline. They had some yellow cards. Karefi was pretty good, but he also got himself yellow carded for a pretty dumb tackle in the air. So, yeah, I don't think they, based on Karefi's post-match interview, are entirely satisfied with that one, especially as I said, the Drua are usually a different team away from home, but they gave it a good crack, and they'll at least get a losing bonus point from this one. But I think ultimately there was a chance to win that game for the Drua, and they didn't quite get it done. And they are the team with the lowest tackle percentage this week, which is 78. They'll need to do a bit better if they are going to get some wins on the road. The next one, the Highlanders and the Blues. Both these teams coming into this one winless after losses in round one. And the Highlanders get it. This one, is this one the game of the week? It's hard for me to say. Maybe. I think so. If you haven't watched any of the games, I'll admit I haven't seen Brumbies Force in full. But based on the first 4 games, I might give it to Highlanders and Blues. If you want to see the best team, I think you want to watch the Chiefs game. But the Highlanders and Blues is a good game because the Highlanders were pretty kind of not fancied going into the start of the season. Prior to the start of the season, everyone's saying it's going to be the Blues or the Chiefs. Blues are the reigning champions, and yet here we are 2 weeks in, winless. And there's one man who put in a really Herculean shift, and that's Timothy Tavatavanawai. He was absolutely incredible for the Highlanders. He didn't get on the scoreboard, but he was their top ball carrier, their top turnover merchant, and also of the backs for the Highlanders, he was their top tackler. So he was just involved into a bit of everything for the Highlanders. When they were under numerical pressure as well, because they had a red card towards the end of the game, and because it was a front rower, it caused golden oldie scrums, no pushing scrums, they had to go down the extra man as well. So the Blues had numbers and still could not get it done against the Highlanders. Hurley got a couple of tries for the Highlanders, and Gilbert got one as well. And the Blues, I don't know why you kick to that Highlanders backfield at times. Like, if you're going to kick, you need to make it bloody contestable. Don't kick deep that the guy can catch it unopposed and have a pretty... Like, if you're going to kick it deep, kick it bloody long, or kick it short enough that you can contest it. Don't kick this kind of medium kick where you can kind of take it and skin you on the outside and set up a try. That was just nuts from Bodie. But, hey, what do I know? Christie, Barrett, and Riccatelli got the 3 tries for the Blues. But, yeah, I don't know. It was mostly about that man, Tavatavanawai, to be honest. So, yeah, Dan Leonard-Brown's the guy who got the red card. It was a pretty poor clean-out, but, yeah, Highlanders, good value for the win. I reckon if the Blues can't win that one with the man advantage, don't deserve to win it and don't even get a losing bonus point out of that one. So, none from 2 for the Blues. Highlanders get their campaign underway. And then the last one, like I said, I haven't seen it in full. I went to bed early last night so I could get up at stupid o'clock to watch the Six Nations. But Brumbies Force. Part of the reason I didn't watch this one, and I'm sorry, Force fans, is because I underestimated how you guys would go. I thought you were going to go to Canberra and just get... I don't know about flogged, but I thought you'd get pretty well beaten. At least a try or maybe 2. Like 10 points at least. I thought the Brumbies were going to win this one. But 45-42. The Force get it done. And it's also a really topsy-turvy game. You guys will have to let me know if it is your game of the week. Jesus, an ant on my screen. But yeah, really topsy-turvy game. Sorry, there was an ant on my camera, which I had to remove. But the Force were up 21-0, which is kind of unexpected. Dolly got one. Potter got one from an intercept. Peach got one from a cross kick. Some beautiful stuff from the Force. But then the Brumbies came back into it. It was 28-14 at halftime. And the Brumbies went in front like 35-31. and were leading with only a few minutes to go. But then that man, Brendan Paenga-Amosa, was able to go over and made better by the fact that the Force guys... There's that ant. Come here, you. Thought I got you before. It's a black ant on a black camera. It's kind of hard to see. What was I saying? The Force scored it late with that Brendan Paenga-Amosa try. 13 men from close range managed to get themselves the win. So pretty crazy. Clean breaks is 11-5 in favour of the Brumbies. So you might think Brumbies should be getting the job done. But turnovers conceded is also 14-5. So it seems like the Brumbies dropped a lot of ball. But as I said, I didn't watch that game in full. So you guys will have to give me some insights in what happened there. But yeah, the Force. Who had them winning their first 2 games and being second on the table behind only the Chiefs? That is where they are at. The Chiefs are top of the log with 9 points from 2 games, followed by the Force and the Reds. Those are your 3 unbeaten sides in Super Rugby 2025. Then you're followed by the Highlanders, Brumbies, and Waratahs in the other playoff positions. Outside the playoffs currently, the Hurricanes, the Crusaders, the Drua, Moana Pacifica, and then still scoreless after 2 rounds are my Blues there on 0. There's that ant again. Goodness me. I think I got it that time. But yeah, the Blues winless. The Blues do have a chance to rectify that next week. They are away to the Hurricanes, which is not going to get any easier. But that's the Saturday game. Starts off with Moana Pacifica hosting the Highlanders from up here over on the shore. So North Harbour Stadium. It'll be interesting to see what kind of crowd Moana Pacifica are able to draw. The Waratahs are hosting the Drua. The Drua fans seem to travel really well, which is one pleasing thing about their games. The Chiefs will host the Brumbies, which, I don't know. The Chiefs, can anyone see the Chiefs getting knocked over at home? That's a tough ask for the Brumbies, but this week's had a couple of upsets for sure. As I mentioned, Hurricanes, Blues, and then the Force will take on the Reds. It's a home game for the Force for that one. So a fair bit of travelling for the Force to do, seemingly, kind of jumping from one coast to the other. But yeah, that's Super Rugby round number 2. You guys let us know your thoughts on how you reckon things are going. The Crusaders are on the bye next week. Yeah, do you see anyone knocking off the Chiefs? When are my Blues going to finally get a win? Can you see the Drua getting up an away win? Because it has been a while for them. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts and see if there's any more ants around. Take care. Talk to you again soon. So, bye.